Alright, so spoilers.
From here on out, we're gonna talk spoilers.
That's facts.
And we got a lot to talk about. Yeah, so if you're gonna watch this movie, which you definitely should if you're a Sonic fan,
That's facts.
head out, bro.
Yo, alright, so we gotta go in order, right?
Yeah, we gotta like take this one at a time to get our thoughts together.
So like at the very beginning of the movie, it was like, well, we actually just started like straight up, like right where we left off. And that meant Eggman was at the Mushroom Planet, which they called the Mushroom Planet for the first time.
Yeah, so it's not a zone, it's a planet.
Yeah.
It's not its own section of like a established planet like Sonic. So these like little locales in Sonic, they're like rewriting them in the universe to like be their own dedicated planet.
Yeah. And I like that. I actually like that.
That's a really interesting take.
Like it makes it to where there's like a lot they can build off from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. The whole. I feel like I don't know. I'm not gonna say it was too long that they took to explain what Tails was doing, why he was there type deal. Because he was there since like everyone like coming from the first movie, like everyone wants answers. They're like, what is this man doing? Who is he? Like, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
And they took a while to explain it, but I think they were just like putting everything in our face first and like explain it later. And, like, the first scene, when Eggman walked up into his house, bro, straight to his crib.
Bro, the whole movie Eggman was an instigator.
Like,
Eggman was instigating the whole movie. He was eating the popcorn when Sonic was getting fucked up by Knuckles.
Eggman had to have been a top one character in that movie.
Yeah, Eggman, bro.
That man was.
When we get into the Master Emerald later, that man is top one. Amazing performance by Jim Carrey. He continues to carry the performance.
Jim Carrey did so well.
Jim Carrey,
exceptionally well.
He's an amazing Eggman.
He was, like his line delivery was so good.
Like it's like
every point was
the best Eggman you can get. He's wacky and he can be super intimidating. And like I said, with the Master Emerald, he performed that extremely well.
And then, Knuckles pulled up to Eggman, at the very beginning. And, that's when we got introduced to him. We actually got introduced to him a lot earlier than I was expecting.
He came in I think in the first 5 minutes, we got introduced to Knuckles. Like the first 5 minutes, Knuckles already there. So we don't gotta worry about this build up since he was already real from the start. So they're getting to the point. They know. So that's another thing I commend about this movie. They don't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
They get straight to the point. Like all these different scenes in the movie, they have a purpose. Like the subplot with the wedding, that introduced us to G.U.N.
And I was not expecting that. I was wondering. I saw it from the trailers. I was like, all right, so what is this? What is the purpose of this wedding? Like, is it just
like I was like everyone. When I saw tweets about the movie, I was trying to avoid spoilers. People were saying something about a wedding plot and how it was boring. I was like, interesting. But actually, this wedding plot was actually important because it introduced G.U.N. Like it's not as pointless as I thought it was. And G.U.N.
That's gonna be huge in the third movie.
Yeah, G.U.N.
That's gonna be huge.
Because G.U.N. was a central driving point in the early 2000s era of Sonic.
Yeah.
And G.U.N. They know what they're doing. Like the G.U.N. helicopter had SA2 on it.
Yeah, it had SA2
on it. So they know what they're doing. And spoiler for the after credit scene, Shadow's there. So we already know two things. The two core things we're gonna look out for are G.U.N. and Shadow.
This third movie is about to be crazy because they got whatever G.U.N. and Shadow is.
Yeah, G.U.N. and Shadow. As much as I like to shit on SA2, G.U.N. and Shadow were extremely high potential plot keys that they did carry out to a somewhat well extent in SA2. But I feel like with the amount of expertise they wrote the movie, they are going to do very well with G.U.N. and Shadow. Mm-hmm. If they do, bro, I can't wait to see what they do with Gerald. I want to see what they do with Gerald.
That's gonna be crazy.
Because Eggman, if they get someone good to do Gerald, that man's insanity coming out on the big screen, God, that'd be so amazing to see.
And I can imagine this third movie is gonna be real serious.
Yeah.
They're gonna talk about that man being put up in front of the firing squad. They could already they could change it around. They could change it how they do Gerald, but in SA2, that man was put up in front of a firing squad and executed.
SA2 undoubtedly was the darkest storyline for Sonic. It had the darkest undertones. And if they can pull it off with this movie, they already can handle serious stuff in this movie well. So I think that I don't think they need to tone it down because in SA2 they already kept it well under wraps in terms of graphic content, stuff like that. They just kept it. They put heavy on the themes, and I think they could do it well with the movie.
I really like what they did for after Knuckles had gotten there. Eggman and Knuckles Alliance, the way that happened, it wasn't actually how I was expecting it.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like a Eggman pulled up on Knuckles and he's like, all right, so let me tell you what's going down. It's like this man, we gotta get this dude. Eggman would be pushing him.
Yeah.
Knuckles already had something against Sonic, which is different.
Yeah.
It was different from the way
Yeah,
they
it
did
was already like it was already like in their blood. Like that was already what was going on.
They literally have a planned feud.
Yeah, and so Eggman just gaslit this dude and enjoying him.
Eggman
was the instigator, the gaslighter.
That man was crazy,
He
bro.
pulled off every psychological manipulation on Knuckles. Bro, and that's something else we gotta talk about later is the characters. They did so well with the characters.
Sonic and Tails click so well. So well. Tails like pulled up, he was like, alright, let me show you why I'm the GOAT. And he pulled up on Knuckles. And that first scene hit that man with a whole car, bro.
That man Knuckles was angry, bro.
He was pressed about it the whole movie. The whole movie.
Yeah, that man did not give a fuck. That man, any chance he got, he was ready to beat Sonic's ass.
That's nice. He was about that action.
Yeah, I'd say the one thing I'm uncertain about with the movie is how Tails is handled. Because we did get a little bit about Tails, but I don't think it was enough to like really warrant the way he showed up. Like we still got a minimal amount of context regarding the Tails. We just knew he knew about Sonic because Sonic pulled up in his outburst, sent a signal to Tails, but we still don't know anything about Tails himself. We just know he was shunned from his village because he had two tails. We don't really know anything about what it was like for him. I mean, it's kind of the same would deal with Sonic. So that's the thing I'd say that's the thing I was probably like uncertain about because I was still expecting them to give more context about Sonic's like backstory, but they didn't really expand upon it in this movie. Honestly, I think they're gonna do it with Shadow because Sonic and Shadow are meant to be like reflecting like opposites of each other. So I think Shadow might do something like tap into Sonic's backstory, like reveal more trauma or something like that.
Yeah, the way they did Tails, I don't know. Because again, they took a bit to explain him. Like I thought that he would like pull up or he'd be like, oh, I remember. I feel like it'd be much better if the first thing that he said was, oh, I know, this is the dude, the signal that he sent when he was at that baseball field.
Yeah.
That crap. If they would have explained that a little earlier, then I would have been like less like kind of confused about it. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, we know that Tails and him are gonna obviously get along and start doing crap, but like, why? And they didn't explain that until after that, like after the scene where they was in that, wherever they was at, like that.
Dance party.
Yeah, that dance party. And I don't know. I feel like that was a bit late. But like still overall it was really good. And Tails was handled like really, really well like throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because Sonic was like, oh, this dude's been trying to he's been trying to get with me for a long time and he does, and this man ended up getting turned into a bag at the ice mountain. That was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
That man was gone. And Tails was, I want to let y'all Tails was asleep like half the movie.
Oh.
That boy was gone. He was not here.
He was the punching bag. More than Sonic. Because Tails was knocked out, yeah, like more than half the movie. And that's tough.
It was all focused on the Emerald type deal. And that first initial, or the second conflict that they had, that was at like the first ruins in the ice, the glacier area.
Siberia, yeah.
Yeah, that was that was really well done.
Yeah.
That was really well done. And after that, like, Knuckles was actually going through like a little bit of internal conflict. He was like, all right, well, Sonic's like the same as me. And then he was like, well, shoot, I guess he's not. I guess he's still against me. So he goes back to like he was easing out of that. Like, I need to get on this. Like, I need to kill this dude. He was easing out of that, and then eventually, like, he was like, all right, this dude's he's not my op.
Yeah.
I like how they did that instead of just like immediately just like being like, oh, he's not. That's another difference. So.
Yeah. The new characters they brought in the movie being Knuckles and Tails, they handled extremely well. Tails, he went through more development in this movie than he did in the entire Pontiac and Graph era. Like, Tails had that uncertainty, and he began to gradually build up the amount of confidence, just like the SA1 game. Like, just like SA1 and 2, Tails went through that, like, I need to be as great as Sonic in the one movie.
Yeah, because they was like, Sonic was like, all right, but we gotta go. I mean, they said we. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean we?
Wait, what do you mean we? I mean, this is your job, bro.
He was like, I was here to tell you, bro. That man was not about it, and I like how he started from that. And that man got on that plane and just started, turning up in that last fight.
Yeah.
That was crazy. It was, and like the whole after they went to the Master Emerald, that whole fight, Sonic and Knuckles fighting, and then Eggman back there instigating, and then he ended up taking the crap, and then that man Eggman with the Emerald is broken, bro. And we need to talk about the Emerald too, but that man Eggman with the Emerald was broken. He started moving different, bro.
Eggman, amazing. He's your Jim Carrey. Carried him in the first movie, carries him even more now, because now he embraced more of that menacing energy, because Eggman with the Emerald is busted. That man solos the Sonic verse. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about Knuckles. I think Knuckles is probably the best thing about this movie. Tied with Eggman, he's the best thing about this movie. I always hated Knuckles in the recent Sonic games because they butchered his character. Knuckles has to be the most butchered character, because back then, in the early days of Sonic, Knuckles was this hard-ass warrior type who was clumsy and pretty unintelligent, but he was still rock hard, had a good hard will, strong will, itch in a fight, nobody fears me or nobody scares me type of deal. And they carried it extremely well in this movie. I don't think they had that necessarily hip or cool factor to Knuckles as they did in the early games, but instead he embraces more of he embraces more of that super strong warrior tribe that was in his backstory and adventure. His whole character was built around I'm a strong warrior, I have a code of honor, and he's super dumb. In the movie he's super unintelligent. A lot of the jokes were all around Knuckles being socially inept and reading off things loudly, and everyone's scoffing at him. He's the typical outsider who doesn't understand anything type of deal. But they carried it really well, because his character, you can tell that he's dumb, but it's not to he just bumbles around and is a goofball in the recent Sonic games. You can still tell he's gonna beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's nice.
That man literally punched the holographic Sonic and broke the whole table. And I was bro.
I love how they did Knuckles. Every time that a character had interaction with Knuckles, it was such a good dynamic.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when it was all three of them interacting, just a normal family type deal. Crazy good
Knuckles,
dynamic.
he embraced more of that neutral mindset, because he was willing to embrace anyone as long as he understood their motives, and he was just really simple-minded, but he had a good sense of honor, which they never really tapped into that much in the actual series. We had that backstory of Knuckles being from the tribe, but that wasn't really touched upon. It was only touched upon briefly in SA1, and in SA2 I don't think they touched on it at all.
Not in SA2.
Not in SA2, and I think they only touched upon it in the Sonic Chronicles games, and I don't even know about that. So yeah, Knuckles' tribe backstory, it wasn't explained, but in here, that's the central focus of his character. And I personally think that's probably my favorite part about Knuckles. His mysticism and his connection to the tribe, it was really cool. And how it connected to Longclaw and the Master Emerald, because that was the thing in the first movie I was interested in, was when the Echidna tribe pulled up to Longclaw. I was interested, okay, well, they're a tribe now, so they're connecting to the game somewhat. But there was never any owls in Sonic's universe, as far as I'm concerned.
They made it work.
Yeah, and they made it work super well. The world building in this movie, amazing. I think they did it very well. They explained, everything we were confused about or interested in, they expanded upon in this movie. Who's Longclaw? What was the Echidna tribe doing there? They answered all those questions in the movie. And now we know that even more because of the Emerald.
And now the motives are here. So they was setting this up for years. When they was doing the Longclaw Echidna tribe conflict, it was all right, this is why this is happening, but we're not gonna explain this right now. We're just gonna be all right, this man is he's being looked over by this one he's being looked over by Longclaw. He has to go, and that whole clan they're fighting. We don't know why they're fighting, and we're not gonna tell you why they're fighting until 2 years from now. But they tied those ends. That's what I like. I like how they did.
They just wrapped it up in one exposition that was a couple minutes long, and at that point we just connected all the dots and it made complete sense. And now we're okay, so that's what's happening. So now we get a much grander picture of what's going on, and it was done extremely well in my opinion. And I think that brings us to the Master Emerald and how they handled it in this movie.
Master Emerald, Bro, all these y'all gonna get tired of hearing Sonic fans after this movie.
Yeah, y'all gonna get tired of seeing it.
Power
Like,
scaling
y'all thought Supersonic in the game verse. Y'all thought that was a toxic comparison. Talk about Supersonic in the movie. Talk about the Master Emerald Eggman in the movie.
Bro,
Like Master Emerald Eggman. Like from the second we heard about the Master Emerald, they were already saying shit like, oh, it can turn your thoughts into power. It can materialize anything you want. It's the ultimate power source. And like, so they're like, okay, well, we knew the Master Emerald was like a super strong power source in the games, but like here, it's like the MacGuffin of the franchise. As like, so now the Master Emerald isn't like the supporting factor in the plot. Now it's like the central core item. Because like now in the movie, instead of it supporting the Chaos Emeralds, it is the Chaos Emerald.
It is.
It's the combination of all 7 Chaos Emeralds. So now it's like it's this combination, and it's like the ultimate like result of all that power, as opposed to the connecting force. So, which begs the question about the Super Emeralds, if they're ever coming back, or if they're coming at all.
because the moment they showed the Master Emerald off in the trailer, I was like, all right, so that automatically means Super Emeralds, Chaos Emeralds confirmed type deal. But Super Emeralds weren't like they completely cut them. They cut that. They just said Chaos Emeralds straight up. Chaos Emeralds are the Master Emerald. Don't let anybody get a hold of this, because this can literally do anything.
Yeah, like the Chaos Emeralds were a separate entity from the Master Emerald, and they were merely connected by like a power sword, like a power lever. But now the Chaos Emeralds being the Master Emerald, it kind of takes away that individuality they have from each other. So now it doesn't. Now the Super Emeralds are just kind of like they're gone. But it doesn't really matter anyways, because the Master Emerald just makes you busted. And we saw that firsthand through Eggman when he got a hold of it.
Eggman got it first. He got it first. Like, and that's what I like, because it was like, all right, let's have the villain get it first, so he can demonstrate the extent to which the Master Emerald can do things in this movie, in this universe. And that man got that cup, and he turned different, bro.
Yeah.
That man turned different.
The second Eggman got a hold of the Master Emerald, he was not playing around. That man started running shit. Like the second he pulled up to the bumbling cop and Agent Stone. Is it Agent Stone?
Yeah.
The second he pulled up to the cop, he was like teleporting, taking matter. He was like turning on power. He was like messing with the power stuff. Like, oh, teleport here. Like, let me grab this instantly. Like, he was like,
and like he was like. He even pulled up because he was still doing like goofy Jim Carrey stuff. He made himself like a whole little studio.
Yeah,
he was singing and crap.
Yeah. Like out of thin air.
Yeah, out of thin air. You can just materialize anything, which is broken. It's broken. How you can do that?
Like the Master, it shows it's broken. So like if you get a hold of it, you're like the ultimate being, because like you absorb it. So like it's not like a thing where you carry around. Like you need to get it beaten out of you. So like you can literally be unstoppable if you can do what you want.
Yeah.
Because like it didn't say if there was a power limit. It didn't.
It did not.
It didn't provide.
It just
caveat.
said it grants wishes.
Yeah. The only thing that was stopping Eggman was the fact that for some reason he has a hard on for robots.
Yeah.
So like
if he didn't get in that robot, then he probably would have.
He'd literally just be flying around the place.
He'd be flying around, controlling stuff. He was just making tornadoes come up and crouch.
Bro.
Just doing whatever. Yeah. Whatever he wanted.
It is so crazy. Like. And he was just super menacing. Like he told you, like he knew for a fact. Like Gunn was trying to get that man down. Nah, every one of y'all's vehicles, they're mine now, and I'm making the Death Egg robot with that.
It was insane.
Yeah,
and
and it also makes me interested because the Master Emerald. I think that because it's weird because the Master Emerald, it had different effects as opposed to what happened when Sonic absorbed the Chaos Emeralds. Because like. You saw like Eggman had this like green glow when he got the Master Emerald. But Sonic, when he absorbed all 7 Chaos Emeralds, which we would assume is like the equivalent to the power of the Master Emerald, because that's what it is, he turned into Super Sonic, which was like the yellow glow. Yeah, so now I'm like, so do we like is the Master Emerald like
the same thing?
Is it the same thing or is it like stronger? Like we don't necessarily know. We only know that both of these things combined make busted, because Super Sonic can still do what Eggman does. Like he still beat the shit out of Eggman. He still he made the chili dogs.
Yeah, he made the chili dogs.
He made the chili dogs out of the air, which was materializing things from thin air, just like Eggman did. So like we don't technically know. So that might just be like a oversight on behalf of the directors or the writers for the series. But it's something interesting to think about. And I think that was really cool what they did. The Chaos Emeralds, like, they got a massive overhaul in terms of how they were written, but I don't think it was bad at all. I think it was a really cool take on it, and it's super interesting.
Yeah, like I was most surprised by the fact that Knuckles is not like connected to the Master Emerald
Yeah.
at all.
His-
Like his tribe has no connection to it other than the fact that the owls have it.
Yeah, they
and they
wanted
didn't
it.
get it. Yeah, they wanted it from the owls.
Yeah, they wanted it for the
And
power.
that's crazy to me because all this time Knuckles has been this character like he has to protect the Master Emerald. He can't let anything happen to it. But now he doesn't have it. Like, he doesn't have it, and he's not connected to it, and he's trying to get it. And it's like wow.
Yeah.
It's like it's small stuff like that, small little nuances like that I like that they do in the cinematic universe to make the story different. Like they're still going out of their way to be different from the games. Like they don't want to play it too safe.
Yeah.
But the stuff that they do is like it's good.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
like
bad.
they abide by these specific storylines. So we know Knuckles is like that tribe. He's part of the tribe, which was part of the games, and he's like connected to the Master Emerald in a plot line that isn't direct, but he still has like that connection because he wants to gain it for his own good. And he has that historical context of his tribe going after it with the owls. It's like they write it so it's so amazing how they write it. Like it's just phenomenal in my opinion. Like the way they tie things together, it's crazy.
And then we already know we got to talk about of course the presence of Supersonic in the movie.
Oh,
I didn't think they was gonna do it.
I didn't
think they was gonna do it.
Yeah, there were two things I got spoiled on in this movie, and it was Supersonic and Shadow.
Dang.
That's the thing. I was like, bruh.
I would have been crazy.
See, I didn't know what Supersonic did because I only saw it on a thumbnail of the YouTube video. I saw the Sonic 2 trailer and I saw Supersonic right there. This is fucked up. So I was like, I didn't know how things got. I only saw the yellow Sonic. So I was like, okay, well, fuck. Well, anyways, I don't know how it's gonna turn out. So let's see how that one goes. And Supersonic turned up. That man, he was running shit. Nothing stopped him.
This might be the most powerful iteration of Sonic we've seen.
Yeah, this
might just be
like
because seeing the way they explained the Master Emerald and then what Sonic was doing it's very dangerous.
It's very scary to think about when saying like he might beat Goku.
He might beat Goku.
He might beat Goku. Like we don't know how to take this into consideration because there's no limit. There's no limit to the power of the Chaos Emeralds. Like that's just the Chaos Emerald. What is Sonic with the Master Emerald? That's why I'm wondering about. Is it just like a new green Sonic? Like is it Scourge now? I'm like, bruh.
I don't know. And then
I think what's also interesting is the fact that now humans can absorb the power of the emeralds. It's like now a universal power that you can obtain.
Yeah.
Because like with the series, it was like Sonic was the only one for the most of the time that could. It was like the hedgehogs mainly.
Yeah.
That got the power of the power of the Chaos Emeralds. But now it's usable like universally. So now that makes us wonder like, oh, does that mean Knuckles and Tails can use it? Because I mean, Eggman can use it and Sonic can use it, and they're both like vastly different species. Like, the power dynamic is very all over the place, and you can like, there's so many things you can think about with the series now.
Yeah. And yeah, because like it's another thing. Yeah, they're making the power universal. It's not only Sonic can use it or only Eggman can use it if he has his robots. But he himself was turning up too.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about. And like that whole ending fight. That last fight with the Death Egg robot was done so well.
Yeah, it brought out all the stops. Like it let everyone shine. It let
everyone had their moment.
Everyone had their moment. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles they all had like, you saw Knuckles' code of conduct come out. You saw his warrior aspect. You saw Sonic's cockiness. You saw his like ability to like maneuver around things. Eggman's bro. The way he moved around in the robot, it was so perfect. Like he had that flamboyance, he had that cartoonish feel, but he also just started like blowing everything up.
That man was being a clown, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He did the thing with his fingers.
Yeah, when his fingers started running at Knuckles, that was so funny. Like he was just running around.
They never want to compromise his character. I love that. Like Jim Carrey did so well. I will keep talking about how well this man does.
Yeah, like
it's crazy.
This movie, like we all know Sonic, Sonic and Friends are both like, but Jim Carrey, I'd say is just as good. Jim Carrey Eggman is phenomenal. Like arguably like my favorite iteration of Eggman to this day. It's so amazing. He's funny, he's extravagant, but he's threatening and violent at the same time, and you love to see it. It's so good.
It was so much. And then like bringing us to like near the end of the movie. Yep, we did get that reveal because Gunn was in the movie early on.
Yeah, like.
The Chaos Emerald was like, all right, so Gunn's in the movie, the Chaos Emerald's in the movie, so that's like, all right, we're lining everything up. already seeing, and then the plane that had SA2, we're like, all right, I think we know what the third movie is going to be.
What's going on.
The third movie,
like, they said it's not following the game's chronology, which we already knew from the jump because it went from like Sonic 1 because it's like the origin of Sonic, but then we skip directly to Sonic 2 because Tails is in there, but we directly skip to Sonic 3 because Knuckles isn't there, and fuck CD because like no Little Planet, no Metal Sonic, so they just got that out of there. So we got Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and then skipping to Adventure 2, and and so now we're like, okay, now we can tell where their ambition's going. Now we're going Shadow because I think we all knew that it was going to be Shadow. Metal Sonic was kind of like iffy because
I did not want it to be Metal Sonic.
I didn't want it to be. Metal Sonic is a super hot take for me, but Metal Sonic is a super basic villain.
I agree.
I think he's really boring, and there's not much you can do about it.
You can't write Metal Sonic well. It's just like he's one of Eggman's robots.
He's just a robot that's made to copy Sonic. But with Shadow, you had Gun, you had Gerald, you had Eggman connections, you had Maria, you had the government, Gun, like all these different things. Shadow had a ton. He's like a central force to the plot and what made Sonic so interesting in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like and the fact that they like brought in so like I think that shows with the human characters. Like the human characters, I think that's like the point of contention for a lot of people in terms of the movies. Is like, oh, do we want the human characters or like do we not want them?
Oh, 1000% keep them.
Yeah, I think the human characters are really good actually. Like with James Marsden, I liked him in the first movie. He was like a fun companion to Sonic. But I think the whole like reason people didn't want it is because they took up the majority of the movie. And it was like, oh, this is a Sonic movie though. But in this movie, they don't show up nearly as much as they did, but they still had importance.
The moments that they did, it was good.
It was important. Like James Marsden showed his flair, like he showed his like connection to Sonic emotionally, and like he showed how he's like a father figure to Sonic, and how he just raised him, and how he's like that important like emotional anchor to Sonic, which helps drive a majority of his motives. And it's really good. And I think that the wedding subplot, it was funny. The whole Rachel and what's his name?
Randall.
Yeah, Randall. That it was funny because not only did it come up with a bunch of shenanigans, but also introduced us to Gun, which I wasn't expecting.
That was a twist that I was not expecting.
I knew from the jump that the wedding rings was already going to become like a joke or like a gimmick, that the wedding rings were going to get mixed up with the teleportation rings.
I wasn't expecting that. So
I knew that was going to be the case. But when I saw Sonic get bagged by Gun, I was like, oh wow, so Gun's in this now.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it was like a sting operation. It was like Operation Catfish.
Yeah. Operation Catfish. And they're still taking L's because Gun always takes L's.
Yeah, Gun still sucks. Like they were getting bodied by Eggman. They were like getting jumped by freaking what's her name? Pretzel Lady. I don't know what her name is.
Oh, what?
Tom's wife. I don't know what her name is.
Oh, I forgot her name.
Yeah, I just called her Pretzel Lady. Because that's what Sonic called it. Yeah, but like they got jumped by Pretzel Lady and they still got bodied. They're whole ass operatives for a secret government organization.
That whole wedding thing, the way they set up the families made the wedding literally flow perfectly.
Yeah.
Because they're like, all right, you better not mess up this wedding. We know what you've been about. We know the type of stuff that you've been on. And then have me get called in the middle of the wedding. Yeah. And then
the Siberia.
He's gonna say, yo, I need the ring. And
I need the ring, bro.
No, you're like, all right, bro. I'm sorry. I gotta. He slept him, bro.
Like that connected to the guys, like that is just what they wanted, so they brought in Sonic.
Yeah, and I was like, dang, bro, he really did that. And then like Sonic pulled up, I'm like, all right, well, at least this man in the same spot. Nope, right there. And I was like, wow, that's it.
And I was like, yeah, it's like it wasn't intrusive because immediately they got out of there. But like now we have an established point that Gun is now going to be the main focus of the next movie.
Yeah,
they built them up so they didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow. So now we have an established like a big point of the next movie, which is really crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Like that's what made it. That's what made the movie really good in my opinion. Every scene had some importance.
It did, yes.
It all had importance because everything built into each other, and it like, regardless of whether it built into the main plot or not, it had some sort of importance, like long term. Like wedding plot, it built up Gun. The main plot, it built up like Knuckles, Sonic, and Tails, and it built up new motivations because of the Master Emerald and its implications for the series in terms of power levels and like general motives. Like what can we do with this Master Emerald in terms of like, aside from like just beating shit up and being powerful, because they say we can do anything with it. So like we don't know. And now we know that Eggman's gone, so now we gotta consider not only what Eggman's gonna do, because he's gonna be working from the shadows 100%, but now we also gotta consider what Gun and Shadow are gonna do. So like, oh, and now that Shadow is awakening from his old like pod in the base.
Yep.
Did they confirm it was the Ark?
I'm,
But I know for a fact
they said
they said secret base. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
And
So it should be the Ark.
It should be. 50,
They said
it
50 years ago.
50 years
yeah.
ago, the Ark. That's 100% the Ark. Or 50 years ago, secret base. That's the Ark. That's what happened. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what exactly they pull from the game because, in my opinion, the Ark was like the biggest like my favorite like aspect of the Sonic franchise.
Yeah,
the gun subplot with the Ark. I thought Gerald and Maria were phenomenal plot points that were emotionally investing, very dark for the Sonic series, but
Yeah,
it was still really well. That wasn't like overly more yeah, it wasn't like overly what's the word? Like dark. I don't know what's in it. My mind's too much in a frenzy thinking about this movie.
I feel like there was no time wasted in this movie. I feel like there was literally no time wasted.
Yeah, this movie was.
Because it ran for 2 hours, and I was like, wow, 2 hours? That's very long.
Like the only time I checked my phone, the movie was already done. I was like, it's already done, and it was 2 hours after.
It didn't even feel like
2 hours after it started.
Crazy.
Like that movie was go from the start. It did not let up.
And that's the type of movie. Like that's
a Sonic movie. That's a Sonic movie, all right. All speed, all adrenaline, and you got that like in terms of peak Sonic, it had importance. Because Sonic nowadays, it's all about speed, but there's no depth to it. Like in terms of like the old Sonic appearance, you still had that speed, you still had that adrenaline, you still had that good feel, but there was never any like impact or like lasting impression. Because like current Sonic, it's all about like boost gameplay, BBBE, no depth. Like it's nothing lasting. It's nothing like investing in terms of plot. But I think now it really feels like a renaissance of the Sonic, like the writing for Sonic. I really appreciate the Sonic cinematic universe for how like it feels like we're going back to the roots of the characters and what they represent. Sonic is like that soulful, like playful individual who still cares about values and is like eagerly playful, but he's not like that overly cocky graph and contact like all jokes, all BBB.
They've written him correctly. Like he's developing now as a character instead of a, you know what I'm saying?
Instead of a laughing stock.
I was too slow to save my buddy.
You missed the BBB.
Oh, I was tortured for 6 months, but I'm still good.
Yeah, I'm still good.
No. Like, he actually has development now. And he has depth. And like that's what we've been missing for nearly like 2 decades at this point. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and Tails is still that eager, naive little kid with the with the gadgets and stuff, but he's not like the I'm only brains, the whatchamacallit, trap fertilizer or whatever he said for his gadgets. But like he's still like that kid who's like naive. He's still like figuring out how he wants to do things, bravery.
I feel like this movie makes it to where Frontiers has a lot to live up to. It has a lot. It has a lot that it needs to be. 100%. It needs to be so much more in order to save the main like game franchise and not be completely overshadowed by the cinematic universe. I feel like that makes it like so much more than it has to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it can do that.
I don't know
if it can do that. But this movie was like straight up like one of the best.
I think this movie was. I think it's a 10 out of 10. As a Sonic fan, there was nothing they haven't done.
If you're a Sonic fan, you need to watch.
Like I'd say from a movie standpoint, honestly, okay, I give it a 9.5 because I still feel like they could have built upon Tails and Sonic a bit better. But I still think otherwise that movie was great. A perfect watch. You need to watch it if you're a Sonic fan.
That's true.
You need to watch it,
especially if you like really like all the like pre-2010 stuff.
Yeah, pre-2010.
If you're pre-2010 Sonic fan, you need to watch it.
When you like Sonic at his peak in terms of like ambition and writing the characters as they should, writing it like a shonen manga, like writing them with depth, with personality, with everything you want in a character, how Sonic used to be, you need to watch this movie. I think they pulled it off so incredibly well, and I give so much praise to the writers, actors, and directors involved.
So well.
They knocked it out of the park.
So well.
And if they keep going off this momentum that the second movie built up, and they make more and more movies to come, it's going to be like a phenomenal franchise. And I think it's going to stand in the big block of cinema history. Because like Sonic is still, he's one of the few,
huge.
He's one of the few like video game movies as a whole have been like infamous for being like laughing stocks in terms of actual experiences.
But these are quality.
But Detective Pikachu in the first Sonic movie go to show like, although they were pretty okay movies in their own right, like as a movie experience is, these movies are going to show that video game movies are like stepping up and becoming like a very valid source of media for like a very valid genre in terms of like the movie.
They're coming up.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that even from a regular movie standpoint, I think this is a great movie. Like they did the writing really well, pacing was really well. It all flowed together super fast, and there was no breaks in the plot. I think, just about everything. I think that this movie did like amazing.
I agree. And yeah, I can't wait to see what the Sonic Cinematic Universe has in store, especially for this third movie.
Yeah.
Because y'all know I'm a SA2 head to like the moon. You know, I talk about that game all the time.
Yeah.
Top one. If they pull off like some wild crap for this third movie, bro, then I'm like, I'm fully in, like fully invested. I'm going to like advocate for the cinematic universe, probably over the games.
Yeah, at this point, because we've shown that they care about this franchise. They care about what they're doing, and like the fact that they like tossed in this little like thank you to the fans, like before the movie, like it goes to show that they're like they're doing what they want. They're doing what we want, and they care about that extremely. And I'm like, yeah, and like I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to continue to knock it out of the park with how much like consistency they're like making these amazing characters, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. So I guess we cover everything.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Did we? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah.
Like everything. Yeah. Y'all need to watch it straight up.
Yeah.
If you haven't,
y'all gotta watch
for
it.
some reason, I mean, I don't know why you'd be watching this if you haven't watched it.
If you're watching the spoiler, if you're watching spoiler review, I don't know why you're watching it.
But straight up, like top one movie. Let me know what y'all think. That was an experience. That was a really good movie.
Highlight of the year.
Straight up,
Highlight of the year.
I can't wait to see what they have in store for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.